ReefBum is sponsored by Bulk Reef Supply and Ecotech Marine.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to another video. So in this video I want to go over how I set up my do-it-yourself phytoplankton cultures, but before I do that, if you want to help support the channel and pick up some SPS frags, you can do so at reefbum.com. And with that, let's get into the video. So I would like to give a shout out to Dongzo from Acro Garden, who provided me with a blueprint on how to set all of this up. Dong has perfected this method and has had a lot of success growing this stuff. So why raise live phyto? Well, they are an important part of the food chain in a reef tank. Phytoplankton is a small photosynthetic microalgae that takes in nutrients and carbon dioxide to create fatty acids that are very important for all organisms in the tank. Phyto is consumed by filter feeders and copepods, which can pass the fatty acids onto fish that consume the pods. The big plus in my view is the fact that corals will also consume phyto. Side benefits are the reduction of nitrates and phosphates and a higher pH. Okay, so let's go through the setup process. You essentially need to provide a clean environment for the phytoplankton to grow, some air to keep the water moving and oxygenated, and a light source, some food, and a starter culture. For growing containers, you can use some 1-gallon transparent bottles. Target has some distilled water bottles that are perfect to raise phyto, although I couldn't find any at my local Target store. What I did find are these transparent Poland Spring water containers that seem to be just as good as the Target containers, but they are a bit smaller. The dilution factor for creating a phytoculture is 1:1, so you will want to fill one half of the container with a phytoculture and the other half with freshly mixed salt water. Don't use established tank water since it will contain bacteria that can contaminate the culture. These containers can hold about 100 ounces of liquid, so I mixed 50 ounces of phytoculture with 50 ounces of fresh salt water inside of each container. The specific gravity of the salt water I used was 1.020, but Dong told me that a higher concentration, say 1.026, should be fine. The other thing you will need to add to each container is some fertilizer to feed the phyto. Buy a small bottle since it's not good for it to sit around for a while. After 6 months, it can actually lose its potency or go bad. You can use this stuff from reefcreators.com. The fertilizer should be stored in a cool and dry place, not a refrigerator. I will leave a link in the video description for the fertilizer and all the items I'm using in this video. 1 milliliter of fertilizer should be used for 1 gallon of phyto. You can use a 1 milliliter syringe. I use one from a Solifer test kit to measure out the fertilizer. Just make sure you sanitize the syringe after each use by rinsing it with some tap water and then with some hydrogen peroxide. Inside the container, I connected 1/4 inch rigid Airline tubing to a 1/4 inch John Guest bulkhead union, which I inserted through a hole I drilled in the cap of the bottle. A 1/4 inch John Guest stem Barb connector was connected to the top of the bulkhead to accommodate the 1/4 inch flexible tubing that runs to the air pump. I'm using 2 air pumps, 1 pump each for 2 bottles of phyto. Make sure you drill 1 small hole in the bottle cap to vent out the air being forced into the bottle. Don't use an air stone at the end of the rigid tubing. As for lighting, any cheap T5 fixture with horticulture bulbs will do. This fixture I picked up from Amazon is 24 inches long and has 4 24-watt bulbs. It is perfect for 4 bottles of phyto. I turned the fixture on its side to maximize the amount of light illuminating the containers, which are about 5 to 6 inches away. The light stays on for 12 hours a day. The culture should be grown for 1 week and then stored in a refrigerator where it can last for up to a month. The temperature in the room where the cultures are being grown should be between 70 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit. The culture will not grow as fast if it is too cold. You can reuse the bottles to grow new cultures, but they need to be sanitized. Clean them with approximately 100 milliliters of hydrogen peroxide. Just cover the cap of the bottle and shake it for a minute so that the hydrogen peroxide can coat the inside of the bottle. Let it stand for a minute or two and then empty the container. Hydrogen peroxide will rapidly degrade to water and oxygen, so you can use the bottle after that. Take the rigid Airline tubing out and rinse it separately with water and then with hydrogen peroxide. In terms of how much Phyto to add to a tank, you can start by dosing 1 ounce of Phyto for every 50 gallons of system water. Include the sump in your calculations. The dosage is just an estimate, more or less is no big deal. You can go up to 2 ounces per 25 gallons of system water. Consumption of the Phyto will depend on how well the tank is stocked with corals. There is no harm to overdose, and if you see green dust growing on the tank walls, then you can dial the Phyto back down a little bit. If you have a UV sterilizer, make sure you shut it off for an hour after dosing Phyto. It will also help to shut off the skimmer. The best time to dose is when the polyps and SPS are out the most, so any time after the lights are out during the evening or morning will do. Well, that will do it for this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Until next time, be safe and be well. Later.
We'll be right back.